next up here. So this is another great shot for problem solving, and that's why I wanted to show off this picture. This picture right out of the box reminds me of a shot that we might see in some kind of an ad. So Demetrius did this shot. He wanted, he's got this friend who was into the cinema and movies, and so he wanted to work with some interesting lighting. He set up a speed light with a little snoot that is kind of above and behind the subject's head and reflected into a sheet of paper that's sitting inside the book. I love this kind of stuff because it is problem solving. It's coming up with an idea and working through the steps to be able to accomplish your goals. So, and his opinion that he's asking for is, do you think a photo like this is good enough to make an everyday person want to have his or her portrait taken by me? My short answer is, it depends. That doesn't help much, I know. So the lengthier answer is, it depends on what you're trying to market yourself as a portrait photographer. This particular picture is not what we look at and consider a traditional portrait. It's almost kind of more of a fantasy portrait. So if your style and your product is going to be based around kind of doing fantasies, maybe putting people into their fantasies or putting them into not real situations, then I would say absolutely, you're off to a great start. There's a few little things that I would recommend for improvement, but I think that you are definitely working with the right concept. Obviously, the flip side is if you're looking to do more traditional portraits for people, then this is not really the kind of picture that's going to work for you. But so that being said, let's talk about this. And this is one where obviously Demetrius put a lot of effort into this. So I'm going to be really, really nitpicky because it's very evident that this gentleman is working really hard to really up his game with his photography. So here are my comments. We'll start with the lighting. Overall, the lighting is brilliant. In a perfect world, this hot spot on the forehead, you're going to try and avoid that with your snoot. Now, I am fully aware that sometimes you can be pulling your hair out with little adjustments like that, and you reach a point where you're wasting so much time trying to get it right in camera that you're really losing your subject and you're losing your subject's interest as you go forward. So this is one of those examples where you reach a point where if you can't get it in camera, I would make the decision actually pretty quickly to say, you know what, I'm going to fix that in post. Fix that in post should never be your first plan of attack, but it's always a viable option. And in this case, yes, I would simply, in fact, on my channel, if you look for the video about how to fix shiny skin in Lightroom or Photoshop, even though this isn't really shiny skin, it's slightly overexposed, that technique will work on this to tone down that little piece of forehead so that we don't have that bright spot kind of at the top of the frame. That's piece number one. Beyond that, I think the lighting is brilliant. We do have a little bit of top shadowing that's coming up on the tops of her cheeks and the creases under her eyes. Again, you're not going to necessarily get all that perfect in camera, but that's something that's a real easy fix in post to soften it. Doesn't need to go away completely, but I would soften it just a little bit. The two things that I would also suggest that I think may make this image even stronger, I love the way her hair is spread out. I really wish the pillow wasn't there. The pillow being kind of the same color, but not quite the same color. And the pillow itself is not really a match for the background that she's laying on, which I assume is a bed or like a bedspread or a bed sheet. I'd rather see a slightly different bedspread or bed sheet in the background. One of the things for shots like this that is very important is styling. It's kind of the consistency of the theme, getting all the colors to play well together, making sure that you don't have patterns that are clashing. So excellent problem solving, great step. Demetrius, I'd love to see you go back and try this again. Since this is your friend, I would love to see you take this concept and tweak it a little bit more and master it to the point of perfection, because I think you're very, very close, but there's a few things that would take this image to a whole new level, okay? All right, let's go